we are.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. I love you, Cathy.
Oh, right back at you. Look at both of you. So cute.
I have a question for you. So I got brave enough. So yeah. Can I have this for a second?
Oh my God.
Just for a second. No. Yeah. I got brave enough to do a 5-day challenge about, well, the last week of November. And it was great. It was scary, but I showed up and people were engaged. When I went to put my offer out there, crickets. And now I've pivoted completely because I'm all up in my head. Because I put myself out there and now I want to hide. Now I'm feeling like I did something wrong. And yeah.
Okay, first of all, raise your hand if you can relate to this. I'll put both hands up. Okay, so I totally get it, and extremely brave of you to share that. And we're gonna fix this right now. So, okay, you said I did a 5-day challenge. People were really engaged, and then I put the offer out there and crickets. So let's unpack this a little bit. This is so fun. This is one of my favorite things to talk about is launching. So what was your offer? Tell us first, what was your offer?
So my challenge was a wake up winning challenge. And for 5 days, I went on and talked about how you can set up your day to wake up winning by changing your thoughts and gratitude practices and all that. And my offer is maxing out your life, maxed out challenge or the maxed out life, energy, excitement, and ease in your life. So it's essentially the same thing as my wake up winning challenge is my offer. But yeah, again, crickets.
Okay. First of all, just so you know, he's not bothering me at all. He can play with that. I don't want you to feel stressed, but I'm going to mute you while we talk just so, yes. And then I'll unmute you. Yes. Okay. So the first thing I want to say is I want you all to just notice what she just said, because this is important. You just said, and Colleen's shaking her head because we both know this stuff now pretty well. And this is so fun. This is why we can help. You said, so my offer was pretty much the same thing as my challenge, but then I don't get it. Like crickets. So does anyone kind of see where I'm going to go here with this? Okay. So if we give them an experience and then you say, did you like that? They're like, yeah. And you're like, cool. You could just pay for it now. It's the same thing. They don't know why they need that because it's not different than what you just gave them. And especially if they're like filled up and they're happy, they're like, I'm good. Like I got it. I could replay this. I can now go back and use my notes and do this every day. It's gotta be something different. And it can be different in 2 ways. Let me explain. The first way that you can set it apart is to literally say, I just taught you step 1 and the program is step 2 through 6. Like that's one way to do it, right? But another way to do it is to say, I just sort of laid this out for you. And in the program, you're actually going to implement, you're going to integrate what I just said, and you're going to explain and you're going to teach and you're going to educate them on the process of how we need to not just have information, we need implementation. And so it's one thing to go through this process, but we understand enough now about habits and we know about changing behavior and we know that we need accountability and repetition and support. And if we don't have it, nothing happens, which is why people can go buy a $15 book or they can listen to a podcast, but unless they are in a container where they are held accountable, unless they are in a place where they are actually given the tools to implement, they will not transform. It's not information that people need. No, it's not. It's transformation. So you can let them know that. You can lean into that. So you did a lot right. The first thing, and there might be a few more juicy pieces here that I hear, and I'm going to let Colleen dive in because she's also really knowledgeable about this. But that's the first thing that I hear is it cannot be that we are selling them what they just had because now there's no driver, there's no incentive. Is that making sense, Jocey? I just asked to unmute you. You can.
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. I thought, wow, light bulb went off when you said that.
Okay. So Colleen, before I jump back in, I want to let you speak.
Yeah, I mean, literally what Cathy said is exactly where my mind went as well. And it sounds on some levels like simple, but we really need to bring people's attention to it. And so you can literally say to them, you might be thinking right now, I'm good. I've got this. Like, I did these 5 days. I've got some of these new exercises. Like, I'm feeling amazing. Like, why would I need more? Like, you can literally verbally say that. And you can say, because what just happened here is in part because you're plugged into this energy. You're in this container right now. And it's actually just a fraction of where we're going to go when we're in this, more extended immersive program. And you just speak to the narrative that they're going to be constantly having in their head about why they would be talking themselves out of taking that next step.
Yeah, that's one piece. Now, the second piece is what else we do to create the urgency for them to move into action. Think of it this way. No matter where people are holding in their energetic, in their life, right? Where they are in their point of alignment, their point of attraction, their personality, which is creating their personal reality. Our personalities are creating our personal reality. No other way to slice it. Do you know how much momentum is already there? Do we understand how much momentum is already there for the person to be exactly frozen where they are and not to move? It's called thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of moments a day that are keep wiring them into making the same action. So we have to create, for their sake, we have to create the momentum. We have to create the urgency. We have to create a swell that's going to get them to make a new choice. Okay. So what else are we going to do? We are going to create fast action bonuses, right? To get that person to move into action. You see it everywhere, right? Like whenever somebody is going to go do something, there's an incentive. There's got to be an incentive psychologically to move the person out of the scarcity. It's always scarcity, whether it's about money or even if it's not about money. It might not even be about money that's scarce. It might be about possibility that's scarce in their mind, right? And in order to help them to move, I mean, think of how many Jews left Egypt. They stayed. 80% of those people, this is history. They stayed in Egypt. They stayed slaves. Moses is like, let's go. There's a thing called the promised land. They're like, dude, there's a desert. I'm not moving. I'm so used to slavery. I'm so used to it. I'm not going anywhere, right? I'm not moving. Even that, it's familiar. It's certain. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to trade certainty for uncertainty. So 80% of those people died as slaves in Egypt. 20% of those people left. That's the human condition. Okay? So that's why you got to really turn your engine on. And you got to say, let's go. You got to invite people. And where people get this wrong is they're resisting. So you're talking to their ego and you guys can't move. You're locked. You're gridlocked in that place because people often are fine doing the launch, right? Up until that they open that cart, you're in there, you're generous, you got this. All of a sudden you're making an invitation, opening the doors, right? Cutting that red ribbon for people to walk through. And it's like, oh God, I'm asking for money. People are going to come up against their resistance with money. And I'm going to like shrink because all of a sudden I feel like I'm doing something wrong or salesy. It's like, hell no, they've got to do that. The second they pay for this thing, they've already had a breakthrough because they just put energy in the world. They signed an agreement in that moment that there's a bigger possibility that they can exchange energy for much more that's coming on the other side. And you cannot deny them that. You cannot deny them that. But when it's not clean, when we're in the ego, we're then thinking that sales is this thing where all of a sudden we're taking something from someone. It's so not that. It's so not that. And that's why my launches are explosions. They are like we make multi-7 figures in these launches and we're not using online marketing. There's nothing, I can't do it. It doesn't come out of me. It doesn't work, right? But I am certain that the best moment of my launch is when I say, let's put the money down. Okay, let's go. You got to get rid of the way you think about money. I'm over it. I'm sick of it for you. Let's go. Let's go. This is how you're going to do it. You're going to, it's like, and it's not about me, because anything that comes into me, it's going right back out anyway, right? I'm just to become a conduit for more money to go in the world. That's what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to buy earrings from this little shop we just visited in Chattanooga. This little jewelry designer. We found this adorable shop, and I bought these $200 earrings from this artist I've never seen. What am I going to do? I'm going to give Colleen a bonus. I'm going to tell Colleen to come to the Boca Hotel and take her son to she just played tennis with like Rick Macy. That's what she just did the last week. Serena Williams' coach. She's like, Kat, I'm like daydreaming about getting back there. You know, like that's what you're going to do with that money. You're going to keep creating expansion. It doesn't stay with you. It doesn't stay with you. It's not for you. It doesn't stop. Love doesn't get held onto. It gets put right back in the world. You've got to be a stand for that. You've got to know that. And when you know that, you're going to say, let me get him. I want to get at it. You're going to be itching to launch. It's the best. It is an opportunity. It's a vehicle for you to walk people into a place where they're free. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Do you hear this? This is it. This is where the rubber meets the road. So Jocey, the question for you is how available were you to take their hands and cross them across that river? Where were you, right? Where were you that day? Where were you? Did you show up? And can you show up for them the way they need that? That's the question. I just unmuted you.
Oh, yep. The day that I put out the offer, I was on fire, lit up, full of energy. The second day, same, lit up, full of energy. And then once the cart started not being available, like once it just was not working and it was unwanted results, I just started wanting to hide. And then I started hiding.
Okay, guys, so here we go. Listen to this. You hear what she just said? So she's all in. She's like, I believe it's here. I got you, until I start to believe in the illusion of lack and scarcity. And it didn't take long. It took like 3 days. And she said, I guess I can't help you guys cross because my belief is gone. Here's the news. You ready? Our biggest enrollment comes in the 11th hour. I hold that whole time. I don't move. I am immovable because I have to stand there for a week with full certainty that I can see beyond that horizon. They need that time. They need that time because again, there are 29 years, 34 years, however old they are. There's so much momentum around Kath. There's nothing over that rainbow. I've been there. I don't believe in that. What are they saying? I don't believe in possibility. I don't believe in myself. It's not about me. It has nothing to do with me at all. Right? So I hold there. And that's what's so beautiful is some people, right, are different kinds of buyers. There's going to be buyers who are like, they just make those immediate, sort of like investments. And some people, they sit there and they keep coming back. And we have so many stories. There's probably people on this call right now who will say to you, I was not going to be able to do it. And then she sent that last email that the cart was going to close. And I just knew there was something when Cathy would speak, it would just open me up. I just had clarity. Yeah, Pauline just said I bought the course during the last 5 minutes. And so my husband and I always get so excited, and my team does too, because those last like 12 minutes of the cart open, we get like ping, 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 ping. It's like, whew, it's like all these people just are like, I'm here. And that's it. And it's kind of like being in labor. My kids are all, I remember with my third one, I said to the doctor, come on, like my labors are always so hard. He's like, oh, the third one's going to be so easy. It's just going to fly out. Like, yeah, right. And I'm in labor for hours until those last few moments. Right. And then it's just on. It's like, once she's ready, it's so fast, but I got to like hold because it's not happening until it's happening. And then it does. So this is really exciting. I'm excited for you. And by the way, that's why when we do a 5-day launch, that's a joke. It's 10 days. The first 5 days, I'm like, helping people sort of warm up, get to know me. I'm introducing myself. I'm teaching them stuff. I'm giving them some gems. And then those next 5 days, we go harder. Those next 5 days, I'm like, all right, so here we go. Here's the opportunity. Keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up. And I do that for all those people who are going to need that so that they can come through. I mean, we literally have like so many people who send me notes and say, I'm so glad that you were willing to show up and be that vulnerable and so exposed and so passionate for that many days, because I finally broke through and I supported my family through COVID. I left my job. I started the bed and breakfast. It's like, I've got to do that for those people. I'm going to let go of everything else. It doesn't matter to me. All the people who are not coming, it doesn't matter. That's fine. They got something anyway. They got what they needed. They got what they needed. They don't need to come, right? Everyone's in the place that they're in. But during those 5 days, we use a lot of different psychological like wake ups to help people to move out of that place they're so stuck in. So we'll be like, all right, there's another bonus. There's another thing. Come on, come on, come on. And sometimes just when those bonuses expire, you'll see like little blips. Because people are like, if I'm going to do it anyway by Friday, I'll just do it today because then I'll also get this thing or that thing or whatever it is. It's all just a way to help people get unstuck from their ego. Any other questions about this?
Oh my gosh, you're blowing my mind. Honestly, you're giving me so many shifts. Like, wow, I thought I've broken through that scarcity, but like, you're right. I was so fired up and so lit up and people were like there. And the moment that I started to hide, I mean, I shut it off. I did that. It makes me want to cry. Like, I did that.
Yeah, we all do that.
And now I'm thinking I just want to pivot and completely forget it, but I could just do it again now. I've had the experience.
Yes, that's right. That's right. It's amazing. You did everything right. You just need to believe longer for their sake and for yours, and hold the space for them, right? Hold the space for them. And just like just think of it this way, you guys, whenever you're launching anything, they want help saying yes to themselves. That's really what they want. We all want help saying yes. If we're somewhere and you're looking at that thing, at that trip, at that house, at those shoes, at going on that concert, whatever it is, it's like, of course you want that. Whatever is holding you back from that is, oh, should I really leave the kids for 2 days? I feel guilty. Or should I really spend that money on myself? Or can I really invest this time? And it's like, yeah, you want to say yes. I'm going to help you say yes. So sometimes they just need a little extra time. Colleen, is there anything else that you want to say?
Rename it? Should I rename the whole thing, or should I keep it the same? Or
I don't think that part matters. How many people took it the last time?
Last time, consistently showing up was about 20 people consistently.
Okay.
But I did it in a Facebook group that has about 600 people.
Okay. So there's other things with that strategically. Like, we like to do pop-up Facebook groups for things like this, because that means that those are warm leads that are raising their hand for that experience. Because remember the algorithm, you guys, more is not more. So if you have this place where you have 600 people, you're like, I'll just do it in there. It's like, well, you're going to delude the algorithm, because of those 600 people, how many even know that event is happening in there? How many of those people are even raising their hands to be a part of that? Maybe 20, right? But unfortunately, the 20 people that were raising their hands to be a part of it, they get put into that whole algorithm. And when Facebook is letting people know that you're live, they're just letting 5% of your people in there know that you're live. It might not be those people. So you want to really curate that group. Also, you want the engagement to be higher, because let's say you have a pop-up group and there's not 600 people, there's only 41 people, but those 41 people want to be in that experience. the engagement's going to go up, right? Because then when you ask people to post and interact with you, maybe then of those 40, whatever, you're going to get 27 comments. It's going to make the engagement of that group go up, which means that Facebook is going to prioritize that group. It's going to let people know more about when that group is active, when you're live, what's going on. It's going to be in their feed more. They're going to be relating to it more. That's good. Then they're going to see other people sort of interacting, and they're going to interact with each other. Then they're going to interact with each other the more that they interact with each other. So pop-up groups are a really good idea for things like this. We used to have a Facebook group. We actually just closed it. It had 25,000 people in it, and it wasn't serving them, because an object at rest stays at rest. Only objects in motion, right, move into action. So I'm not doing anyone any favors by being like, and it's free. It's like, yeah, and you're going to get nothing out of it, right? So that doesn't help. We need people to actually make a transaction, to make a transformation. They've got to exchange. They've got to move into motion, right? So we closed it, but there was a time when I first started, I was like, I'll just do a challenge in here. There's already thousands of people. Bad move. Don't do that, right? Start it all over again. You get a whole new group of people, but they are here for it. That's how you do a 5-day challenge. That's how you do a webinar. That's how you do anything. Get a group of people, get them engaged, get them going, and make it focused on those people. Does that make sense? Colleen, what else? I mean, there's so many things that we could pull apart.
I know there's so many. I just want to make a general comment, because I know this comes up for a lot of people, and that's around your word pivot. And it's very common when things don't go according to our expectations or our dreams, that we want to pivot away from it because it didn't feel good. And as you can tell from a lot of what Cathy's just talked about, as long as what you are teaching is in your heart, what you want to be doing, don't pivot away from that, right? We just need to go, okay, how do we rejig, or how do we tweak? Like some of these different pieces of how you were presenting it, of how you were showing up, of how you were owning it. And so you come back and, like you just said, you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And that's the thing we don't want to do, because we're like, but it didn't feel good the last time. And it's like, that's okay. You've got to be uncomfortable. You got to be willing to be uncomfortable and keep being uncomfortable so that you're going to actually get into that space that you want to be in.
And then, of course, I'm going to ask you this, but how much were you calling in, like from a financial standpoint? How much were you feeling that you were a match for? How much can you hold, right? This can only hold so much. This can hold less, right? How much can you hold? Think about when you blow a fuse on something, okay? I might be a Jewish girl, but I'm obsessed with Christmas. I mean, come on, Jesus was a Jewish guy and he loved Christmas. Come on, I love Christmas. So we put up Christmas lights in my house and we blast the music, and my kids were running, it's the best. We put up so many Christmas lights this year. My husband kept saying, you're going to blow the fuse. I'm like, no, we're not. Wrap up the trees, put up the blow ups. So we got the gingerbread houses. We got this. It was like the reindeers are running around the roof. Like there was all this stuff. My kids were loving. Snow was falling. It was so amazing. He's like, you're going to blow the fuse. You're going to blow. I'm like, stop it. That is a limited thought. He's like, okay. So, the fuse blows and I'm like, damn it. So I kept having to go back out there and like push this button to reset the fuse box until it literally was just like, it was so stupid. We spent $2,700 to have this guy put lights up. That didn't even include what it cost to buy all these things, and they didn't work. It was ridiculous. This one little tree that was connected to a different fuse box stayed lit the whole time. Anyways, so the point I'm making is this. There's a certain amount of wattage that you can hold. And it's there or it's not, okay? And money is energy. It's like electricity. It's a resource just like that. It's like bandwidth, Wi-Fi, right? It's like that. So it actually takes some strength to hold it, right? Think about people who hold that frequency and it's just like, boom, right? Think about Beyonce. Think about the women, right? And think how they walk, right? In order to hold that much charge. That's the move right there. If you can't hold it, it can't. It's going to blow the fuse box. So we've got to calibrate. And what we don't realize that we are doing is we are resistant to that much money. Jen Sincero told me this. It's in her book. There are so many human beings who would be wealthy, except they don't give themselves permission to be rich. There's so much resistance and stories around making that money. But the more you can hold the fuse, you can light all those lights. It's going to pass through you. That's all that it does, right? And then it just brings people up. Let's go back to the Beyonce example. People go to a Beyonce concert. They feel taller when they leave, right? For like 72 hours, they have like a hangover of like, I don't take shit from people, right? She transmits that. So she's going to try to bring all those women up there, right? Just raise them. That's what she's trying to hold for all of that. And she's doing it. And there's so many other women who are doing that, who pick your flavor. Joanna Gaines, I don't know who you like, right? Like it takes a strength. And then it's got to not actually be about you. When we make it about us, we have a really hard time. But when we let it be a conduit for more, for others, for abundance, that's what actual abundance feels like. You can then let that in. You can let it in because it's just going to go right back out. That's what's going to happen with it. So can you hold for more? Because outflow equals inflow. So where were you at? Where are you at right now? How much of that fuse do you think you could take? Let's be real.
Right now I'm pumped. Right now I'm in alignment. Right now I feel that tingling sensation up my spine. Right now I feel like I can hold it all. I can picture Beyonce. I can see it. I can like put it out there. I can get bigger. Yeah. I can take up that space. But I wasn't there that day. Like now that I feel it in my body where I am, I wasn't there that day. I wasn't there at all. I thought I was, but now I know what it feels like to want to walk up and do that. And hold that space. You just did that for me.
So watch what happened just right now, right? You said you just did that for me. So the money you spent, right, on this course was so that you could plug, right, that wire into this outlet and feel this, and it gets transmitted. Now you can do this, right? Because it's an energy. Energy is so freaking powerful, you guys, because it's more powerful than your PDF. I can literally hand this to Jocey. She can feel it. It's a fact because we don't learn from words. Words don't teach. It's a felt sense experiential thing. That's what moves the world. That's what moves the world. So when she feels this, she aligns with it. Now she's going to go back and take that and plug that in, and that person's going to plug into her and to her and to her. And that's what we're doing, right? This is why people like looking at pictures of Meghan Markle and Kate Middleton. They want to breathe that in. Put your shoulders back. It's enough. And you got to think about how many women need you to rise so that they can step up, right? That's what we're all doing. We're just passing the energy along. That's what we keep doing for one another. That's the gift. That's the gift. So then you look at that. When you look at that person who's a potential client, a customer, a person who you're going to be able to help cross, you see that as a gift. You're like, come on, you're going to plug in here. This is your Tesla charger. Now you're going to have enough so you can go those extra miles.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
I love you. Who loves her? Everybody does.
Oh my God.
It's right here, but they need you. They need this part of you. They need you to be like right here, buzzing. They're all around. The women that you were supposed to serve, they are so good and they're so beautiful, and you're the only one who can do it. Listen to me. You're the only one who can help them. You know that. I'm telling you the truth. You've got to know that. You are the only person for those people, right? It's something about you. It's everything about you. It's everything you've been through up to now. It's the way you look. It's holding that little baby. It's you. They need you. Yeah.
Thank you. I feel transformed. I feel it.
You're going to be so stinking successful. She's going to be so wealthy. You're going to have so much coming through you, pouring out. You were meant for it. Look at you. Look how God made you. Look what you look like. It's ridiculous. It's the goodness, right? Combined with that face. Look at you, just sitting here this whole time with this baby on your lap. Like it's just so much ease, so much grace, so much strength. It's time. You're going to do it again. When I said pop-up group, somebody said, what does that mean? It means you create a separate group, right? Just for this experience, for people to raise their hand, be in this experience with you.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh my God. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you.
I'm excited for you. Should we do one more? Pauline, what do you think?
Absolutely. Okay. Right. Michelle, I'm bringing you up.
She's like, I have to follow these things. I know, but it's all good. We're all in it. We're all in this together. We're in this swell of energy right now. It's good.
Hi. Well, now I feel like my question's not going to be good enough.
See what we do? See what we do? See what we do?
Oh my goodness. Hi. Okay. Well, okay. So my question, oh my goodness. Okay. Getting called up never becomes less real. It's insane.
Yeah,
okay.
That's true. I feel that.
So I finally did it. So I posted my trailer on all the apps, posted it on Facebook, released the trailer. Now I have interviews, right? So I finally booked. I have like 3 or 5 interviews set up with guests. And I did one the other night, and it was the first one. It was really informal, and we were just kind of talking because I've never done this, right? So we were just kind of talking, and I was like, all right. And I kind of like slyly hit the record button. And I was like, glad I did. But I didn't know like just how to like introduce it and go about it. And like, hey, I'm going to record this. Like it was an introduction call, but it wasn't. It ended up being an episode. Well, like what I think would be an episode. So like this is kind of like beginning barrier of like talking to people and being like, hey, are we just having a quick conversation about having another meeting on an episode? Or, hey, we're just going to let this roll and have a conversation. And how do I transition from like a, hey, how are you today? Into, okay, I want to hear more about your story and like have this be meaningful. Because I really want the episodes to not just be like, hey, we're having coffee together. I want it to like people like really get something out of the episode, but I don't know really how to transition. I didn't have questions prepared because I didn't really know what to expect from it. But I have another one tonight, and I want to be more prepared for this one because she seems like awesome, and I really think it could be a really interesting episode. So I just want to be a little more prepared. Sorry, I talk really fast.
You're so cute. Nothing to be sorry about. Who knows what I'm going to say? Type it in the chat.
I did pull up my workbook like right before I saw her. I was like, okay, just let it ease, let it flow, let it be cool. And I was like, okay. And she felt real comfortable with me. She's like, you made me feel awesome. And I was like, that's great. But I don't know if I got enough out of it for it to be like a meaningful episode. It was a great conversation, and she was a sweetheart. But I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna stop talking.
Okay. No, you're doing great. So here it is. What's it gonna take for you to trust yourself?
A lot. It's an underlying issue that goes years deep. That even between this and my other thing, my other course that I'm in with my other mentors, I'm sure you've heard of Dean Graciosi and things like that. Him and Tony, I'm in a separate course with them right now as well. And that whole being enough thing and that next level and like that has always been there. I never really seem to get that.
So first of all, you're not alone in that. That's a really big, there's like a whole illusion that happens when we open our eyes and we we look at like the way that the ego sort of like paints the world, and we kind of wire to that. We keep looking at that. We keep seeing that. And we actually really forget who we are. Right. But when I just posted this clip, it's a little animated clip on my feed, on my Instagram feed. You guys can watch it. It's Martha Beck. I've had her on the podcast a couple of times. If you guys don't know who she is actually a coach. She actually coaches Oprah Winfrey. She's Oprah's coach. And she, in this little clip, she's talking about the mind and how the thoughts are like, it's like a snowstorm, basically. It's a blizzard. And usually we're caught in that blizzard. And once in a while, we step out of the blizzard and we watch the blizzard. And from that place, we are really connected all of a sudden to who we really are, right? Our truth, our consciousness, that place that's so peaceful. And she said, and when you're in that place, you feel this feeling. She said, it's a sensation of being connected to everything, right? It's nowhere. It's no one. It's no time. That's your soul. That's your consciousness. That part of you has to do the interview. That part of you doesn't understand or know or care about the words enough, being enough. It just is. That part of you is connected to that other person. That part of you is what holds the space for that person's nervous system to calm down and put their ego away for an hour and just talk to you. That part of you doesn't have to prepare. On the soul level, you kind of strip away sort of like the ego, right? What's the difference? If you're looking at souls, what's the difference between Kim Kardashian and somebody else? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing is the difference. Nothing. Souls don't have followers. Souls don't have an Instagram. Souls don't have PhDs. Souls don't have any of that. Souls don't have to be enough. Show me where Jesus got his PhD. Show me how many people were on Moses's Instagram. How many people, right, did the Buddha have come to his shows, buy his records? What are we talking about? On a soul level, right? It's just this powerful, congruent current. That's energy. You feel that. You got to drop in there. When you drop in there, you can just be. You don't have to be intimidated by people's egos because you're not trying to win that race. You're not trying to prepare. You're not trying to meet them there. You're not interested in that. That's not a good interview anyway. We don't want to meet them there. We want to meet them in a place where they can let that go because it's not that impressive. In 1998, I was flying standby, trying to get out of New York. You guys may have heard this story. And I couldn't get on a flight because it was a snowstorm. It was February. It was my grandmother's 90th birthday party. We'd gone to New York and I couldn't get home. And I wound up flying standby and I wound up missing this flight and that flight. And finally, they put me on a flight and they say I can fly first class. And I wind up sitting next to a gorgeous man with this incredible energy. And I didn't know who he was, but I knew he must be successful because they put me in first class. It was the only seat left and they let me sit in it because I had to get out of New York. And I was 18 years old and I was freezing in an airport for 7 hours. They're like, just, you can take this seat. And I sat next to this guy. And they de-iced the plane for an hour and we get in the air. I'm talking to this guy for 3 hours and I get off the plane and the paparazzi comes running to the door because this is 98 before 2000, before the 9/11 and people could still come to the door. And it was Michael Jordan. I sat with Michael Jordan for 3 hours on a flight from New York to Atlanta. But I didn't know it was him. So I actually got to talk to him. I didn't know it was him, so I actually got to speak to him. I didn't know it was him, so I actually got to talk to him because I didn't meet him from that place of, oh my God, like you are this person who's like. So we spoke this whole way and I asked him, I said, what do you do? And he said he was an entrepreneur. And we had a whole conversation about dreams and he was so animated. And when I got back to college, I went to my dorm that night, went to my dining hall, and my friend Andre literally dropped his tray. He was like, how did you not know? How could you miss that opportunity? Oh my God. He was like running out. He's like, I can't even look at you. I can't even talk. I can't believe it was wasted on you. You did nothing with it. Nothing at all. You didn't ask him about this moment and that moment and Larry Bird and what he thinks about Shaq, about nothing. Like I was like, yeah, I didn't meet him in that place. It was such a powerful thing when I saw that it was him when we got off the airplane. And he took off he was wearing a little beanie, he was wearing sunglasses, wearing a turtleneck, and he took off his glasses and he took off his hat. And it was like, oh my God. Like, it was like, I saw it, but I couldn't see it before. And he was so animated. And it was probably such a gift for him because for 3 hours we could talk because I wasn't bumping up against his ego. So you have so much that's dying to be unleashed, right? And all this part of you that gets you out of your alignment, trying to prepare and trying to, what am I going to say? And you've never had to do that. All the best relationships in your life, you've been in all of those moments, you've nailed it. You've sat with your best friend when she had that breakup. You knew how to be there to celebrate with your sister, your mother, your cousin. You knew what to say. You know how to be. You are yourself. You know what to do. You don't have to think about it. In fact, I'll tell you a secret. When I'm interviewing people, I never, ever, ever do their intro in front of them because I don't want that energy in here. Okay, so today we have Harry Connick on the podcast. Harry did this album, It's like, I'm not interested. And either is he, because it's not impressive to him. He wants people to actually see him for who he is and not for what he does, right? And I want to meet him in that place. So I never do people's intro in front of them. I usually say, hey, it's so good to see you. I'm going to do your intro later. Now let's just hang out. And I'll have an idea of what I want to talk to them about, but I'm going to listen and I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to make a space. And next thing I know, they're going to say things that neither of us planned that we would say. And we're going to riff on that. And that's what's going to make it a great conversation. And that's probably why the podcast is so successful, because we're not having these prepared conversations, because we can find that everywhere. There's nothing grippy in it. How is this landing? What's coming up?
Just to sit in it and just be in it. And it's true. Like I have conversations all the time. People tell me, all these things. You're a great listener and the advice and all these things. And I'm non-judgmental and all these things. And it's great. So it's kind of just prepping myself to be, okay, be in that moment. Just pretend like she's your best friend and sit there and say and have a conversation with her, instead of letting my anxiety and ADHD take a hold, which they do regularly, right? Instead of thinking about all those things, really just focusing in on setting a space where we're both just comfortable talking. We're just hanging out and just really just trying to focus in on that is what I'm thinking.
The name of the game, and you're right, everything you just said. And the name of the game is love them. Love them. There's no human being who can't use more love, actual love. But when we're so caught up in ourselves, we don't have it to give.
No.
So I think to myself, Brandy Carlisle is coming on the podcast today. Let's see if I can love her. And she feels it right away. I can set it down. I can be one less person who's making it about me. So I get the right shot, that I get the right words, and then she's got to dance in that part of herself. Think about people when they are, even if they're not famous, right? If you have somebody on, whoever it is, they're nervous, right? They're nervous. My friend Amy Purdy said to me that when she came on my podcast, she was relieved because she has to speak so often. And she's been on Super Soul Sunday twice. She's sat with Oprah twice. She said every time she does an interview, they send her the questions ahead of time, which is the worst thing for her, because then she has to decide what she's going to say to answer the questions. Then when she's in the chair, she has to remember what she told them she was going to say, because they're already set up that they're going to know what she's going to say. So it's all prepared, and it makes her so anxious. And when she was coming on my show, she's like, well, what questions are you going to ask me? And I said, I'm never going to prepare the questions so that you can just relax. So often I will say to people, you can just relax. We're just going to talk. We're just going to hang out. And very often people will say, can I have this audio? I want to use this because you let me, I could actually just show up. So when we did that, Amy texted me after, she goes, I'm going to start a podcast because of my interview on your podcast. I just saw how that's possible to do that. I just saw how that's actually possible. This is someone who's won the Olympics 3 times. She makes it so much harder on herself than it needs to be. That's what most people are doing. And it's exhausting and it's draining. It feels draining. So we get to love people. And when you love people, that's why you can show up and all of a sudden there's a whole world waiting that was just waiting for you, because that power of love, it's a real thing. It really exists. It's a talent. It's a talent to be able to remove the ego so that you can love. And when you love like that, you connect with other people immediately, because that's the oneness. That's where the ego goes away and we just kind of come together. And that's where, when Rob Lowe was on the podcast, I remember being like, you're so cute. I said to him, and it's like, it's the best, because I said, usually when someone's this adorable, like it comes at a cost, right? Because they're this handsome. So now they're going to be like, but with you, it's just like goodness. And he was like laughing and he's like, I love you. I'm like, you say this to everyone. It's like, no, it's just, it's easy. It's good. I want to stay on the show. I'm like, yeah, because it's just so easy to love people. Make it about them. Give them a break, whoever they are. It doesn't have to be a famous person, but every person has an ego that does such a number on themselves. It makes us crazy. It makes us exhausted. Let them come to you and let you be the person who says, you can just pull up a seat. I got you. You're good. And just you be there, and you don't have to prep. It's going to be the most gorgeous conversation, right? And then if you get stuck, right? This is what I always come back to. What's the pain point of my listener? So that's always my roadmap. It's my listener is a person, right, who is A, B, and C. And so I look at it like me before the transformation, right? That's who you can help. You can help the person you know most. So who's my listener? The person that's got all these gifts inside of them, but maybe doesn't know how they're going to get from here to there, or really wants to get the permission to give themselves so they can like go into the world and do their thing. So when in doubt, I come back to the pain point of my listener and I ask that same question. And you can ask the same 3 questions to every person, and it makes it so interesting. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be new questions. Think about on Inside the Actor Studio, and James Lipton asked the same questions, like, what's your favorite curse word? If heaven exists, what do you want to hear God say when you get to the pearly gates? He asked the same questions. And it doesn't matter if it's Tom Hanks or Bradley Cooper. It's the same questions. They're interesting because everyone's going to answer it differently. So there's really not that much to prep. Is this making sense?
Absolutely. I think it's just like my anxiety and overthinking and my perfectionist issues, like all those normal baggage things coming up front and being like, no, you need to be more prepared. But it absolutely makes sense. And to think of my person's pain point, right? It's about mental health and raising awareness about those dark moments, that the crying moments, the anxiety, the depression, those things. Like, what did you do to get through it? What kept you going? So just keeping that in my mind, and hey, so when you went through this, how did you come back out of it? And having something like that be like one of my go-tos, like, okay, so how did you turn it around? How did you keep going? And kind of just really focusing on what I want my listeners to hear and sitting in that space rather than letting my head be like, you don't have enough prepared, all these things that I'm trying to do, and letting that run it rather than letting the part that should be running it run it. Hot mess.
That's the part. This is the part of you everybody wants.
I think there's just so much that we put on ourselves. And like, I'm trying to do 3 projects right now. And I think the fact that I'm trying to do everything all at once is just like making me all over the place. But I'm like, I set the appointments and I want to have these conversations and I want to be there for them in these conversations. And I want it to make a difference. So really just kind of sitting in and having that conversation and being in that moment is what I really need to focus on, and just forget everything else. Turn off the phone, shake it off, take a deep breath, and go to my really convenient little podcast recording studio that I have and just be in the moment. but it's hard. It's
Well, we make it so much harder than it has to be. And the last thing you just said, your really convenient podcast studio. I mean, I want you to think of it this way. So often people will say to me, I really want to quit my job. I really don't feel free. I really feel like stuck and all of this stuff. And then they'll create their own platform. They'll make their own podcast. They'll create their own business, and they are the worst boss, right? They make everything so hard. They work themselves so hard. It's like, why did you leave that so that you could do this and give yourself a harder time? Like, you're the worst boss to yourself. Point being, if you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying those podcasts, what's the point in doing it, right? Like, what is the point? You have to enjoy. There is no journey that winds up like where like, oh, the outcome of it was so amazing, but the actual whole thing was awful and terrible and felt, it doesn't work that way, right? Like, your whole point of wanting to hopefully, make a bunch of abundance, getting to put this in the world, is so that you can just keep doing this work, right? The more money I've made from doing things I love, what's my reward? Getting a lot more assignments to do more of that work with my time, right? That's all that's happening, is I just keep getting more opportunities to do the work. And then I'm free to do anything else. So I keep doing the work more. My whole day becomes more projects that I have to do this dance. I have to show up and plug into this person who I'm saying I want to be. So if you're not going to enjoy it, and then the abundance is going to come, oh God. I mean, I think about that. I have a few friends who are celebrities and rock stars. I have a few rock star friends, and I was texting with one of them yesterday on the drive home from Tennessee. And she was saying, I'm going back out there. My new record is coming out, and oh my God, who I have to be, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, whoa, who wants to sign up for that? So I was saying, is there a way you can switch this? Because that's horrible, right? Now you're literally sacrificing so much of your well-being to be Mickey Mouse, to be like a caricature that goes around and like just pumps people up at these concerts. What about you? You're actually standing there. So if you're going to be on this podcast, you've got to feel good. Otherwise there's no point. What's the point? It's your life. You're doing it, right? You're showing up. It's your time. It's your hours. You're clocking. So it doesn't matter if you forget the line, because why would it matter anyway then? If you were so tense and so frustrated and giving yourself such a hard time. And that's what I said about my first podcast, is I re-recorded it 8 times and I said, forget it. I'm not doing a podcast. This sucks. I had the worst day. I was in my head. I was so critical. I hated how I sounded. I was so frustrated. And I said, I'm not doing the podcast. And then I said, or a week later, after a week of losing my voice, I felt like shit for a week. I had to get a cortisol injection because cortisone injection. My throat was so blocked, and it was blocked because I had so much resistance to doing it. I mean, I've never had that issue. And after I come out of getting this injection, I start to be able to talk. I literally couldn't speak a word. I couldn't use my voice boxes. I was like so stuck here. This throat chakra was like closed. And I was like, or I can do the podcast and just let it be good enough and just have fun and just enjoy it and let it be what it is, or else I'm not going to do it at all. So it's either not do it at all because it feels like horrible, or I'm just going to do it and just do it this way. Do it from this place of being connected to center, connected to love, being myself. And if that doesn't wind up working, that's okay then, because that's the only way I can do it, or else it won't be a pleasure. Now it is a pleasure. I can talk to anybody. It doesn't matter how famous, it doesn't matter how not famous, it doesn't matter where they come from, it doesn't matter what language they speak. I can talk to anybody because I can just come to that centered place and enjoy it. Does that make sense, you guys? Are you guys hearing that? I want that for you. That's the gift you can give yourself. And then look what will happen.
Can I just say I was so excited last week when I did my first one, and I think I want to sit in that because I'm driving. So my library has a whole studio set up that I get to use, and I'm super excited about it because I got, my 5 Below microphone right here, right? So I'm using their stuff, but on the way, I was just so excited to be doing something for myself, doing something that I'm passionate about and working on one of my projects. And when I got out of there, I'm like quietly walking out of the library. But when I got out of the doors, I was like, that was so amazing. And this is going to be amazing. And I'm going to be so successful. And I just got like so amped up and so excited after the conversation. And I really want to just sit in that, like that excitement and that like that hope of being so successful and being so happy and enjoying what I'm doing. Makes my other computer here is going off right now because my real job that I have to be at is I'm not answering anybody because I'm done with it. I'm like, I want to quit. I don't want to be there. I want to be here. But I'm like, I just want to sit in that excitement. I just want that 24/7, like that feeling. I get to do this. I get to work on my passion, my purpose, what's making me happy. Like that part is like, I want to focus on so badly. So I'm going to try to get in that place every time. And I think if I do, I can make it an amazing episode every time.
She's got it. And the last thing I'm going to say is that routine, okay, this is like a scientific fact that routine lulls the brain to sleep. And so what I mean is like, have you ever been driving home and you get home and you go, I don't even remember making that left turn. And you're like, well, obviously you did. You're so used to making the left turn and
Autopilot.
right. You're just on autopilot. Exactly. Well, none of that lights us up the way you were just talking about, that excitement. We get excited and we get lit up when we're awake. And we're awake when we're in that flow of spontaneity, when we release this is my routine, this is the certainty, this is me holding on to exactly how it needs to go. None of that's going to feel good. So we crave the, ooh, that was unexpected. Oh my God, that was like a transcendent feeling. That was bigger than what I felt yesterday. I didn't feel that feeling of expansion. It was beyond. What do people say? Oh, did you love it? It was beyond. You have no idea. Beyond, right? Because that's expansion. It's be more than the limit of what you felt yesterday or the day before. In order to allow that in, we have to be willing to release the certainty, the hold, the grip, the grasping, and we have to play and let it kind of like flow. And that's where creativity comes in. When we trust, when we let go of trying to steer the ship all of the time, that's where we meet God, actually. That's where we meet that flow state, right? That flow state is when, and if God doesn't work for you, change the word, use any word you want. Eskimos have like 70 words for snow. It doesn't matter what you call it. Okay. But whatever you want to call that energy, right? It only happens when we release, our mind gets out of the way. And then there's a feeling of expansion, excitement, spontaneity, joy. Oh, surprise. That's what feels really good. That's what makes people laugh, by the way. You know, that's what comedians do. They send you down this way with the premise, and then the punchline takes you somewhere you didn't expect. It's unexpected. The unexpected is where the growth happens. It's where the vibration happens. It's where the laughter happens. It's where the joy happens. We have to be willing to let go. If we're not willing to let go, we're going to just keep getting what we got yesterday. And hey, if you like what you've got so far, great. You just keep replaying that same song every day for the rest of your life. But if you want to hear different music and you want to be taken to different lands and you want to feel the wind in your hair and you want to go like Moana over that horizon, you're going to have to be willing to let go of the same exact map that you've been taking every single place, or else you're just going to keep getting back to the exact same destination. Does that make sense? So the best moments,
you're welcome.
Yeah. You're welcome. We used to have that constantly playing in my car. Does that make sense, you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's really just going from those days where like, my job is draining me right now and I don't want to be there. And I'm miserable being there. And I'm like, going from that, like, I'm so unhappy here, but I need the paycheck because I have bills, a big child and all these things. And I'm like, I don't care about that. I care about this. So making that switch from that energy into this energy where I'm like, yes, like this is where I want to be is the hard part.
Right. Well, we get to decide if it's going to be hard anymore, right? It's a reality that we're choosing or we're not choosing it. Colleen, I want to give you a chance to say something before we hop off, because this is her sweet spot. We talk about this all the time, reality and needing this money and not needing this money. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I just want to say is I remember at the beginning, you said, I'm worried there's no value. I'm worried there's no value in this conversation. We just had a conversation, but there needs to be value. And I hope like through hearing everything Cathy said and watching you, it's like your presence and your love that is the value. Do you know what I mean? And I think on some level, there's a part of you right now thinking it's supposed to look a certain way. Allowed to be, ironically, how it sounds like you inadvertently stumbled into doing is exactly what holds that space for it to be so powerful. So I just want you to know that it's not, sometimes we think very 3D, very pragmatically, very didactically, there needs to be these specific steps that people are going to hear, or this or that. And it's not, it's the way those conversations are just going to happen that is going to change people's world and change their lives. So I just wanted to mention that. Other than that, with respect to your job, I know that can be when we get that contrast, right? When we wake up and we realize how much is possible and we see it, and you know, we still have one foot in this other place. I'm always say, find a way to reframe what you don't want in a way that is so powerfully serving you right now, right? Because we can focus on the aspects of it that drive us crazy and that we don't want any parts of, or we can focus on it in a way that it's actually a beautiful gift to opening up this pathway where you're moving forward, and it's supporting you in being able to pursue, you know, this, and just watching that and really trying to find the generosity and gift in something, because things are never absolute. There's always contrast in every single thing. And so it's where do you want to put your attention in that contrast that's there?
Oh, I mean, thank you. Sorry, I had to unmute. And it's a very valid point, right? It's, you know, how I look at it and what I see out of it. And this job, entire time since I got this job, I said, it's going to be my stepping stone to my next level. Like, this isn't the end, but this job is a stepping stone. And I've learned a heck of a lot from this job. I'm a trainer. I train hundreds of people for like a top huge company that I'm sure everyone would know if I said the name, but you know, I've learned a lot from it. I'm just so ready to stop giving them my energy. Shift the focus.
That is such a beautiful thing. Those tears, by the way, I mean, that's just, the energy's got to move. That's what that is. And it's such a gift that, you know, the way we're made, we have a way to release the energy. It's so powerful and beautiful. We should all be crying as probably a daily practice.
I'm a Cancer. I cry over everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love to like put certain songs on. I've been singing over and over, Bless the Broken Road from Rascal Flatts. I don't know why that song gets me. And I like play it over and over to give myself a place where I can like let tears go. But the thing is this, and I want everyone to hear this. It's a choice, and we don't know all the time that it is, but the bottom line is your abundance does not come through other people. Your abundance does not come through that job. Your abundance does not come through that paycheck. Your abundance does not come through that paycheck. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't come through your audience either. It's literally just a match. It's just energy. It's like this fuse can hold this much of a charge, and that's it. So when you put it out there, when you start to open up to it and stop seeing it coming from this particular way, it will just come. You'll just allow it in. Next thing you know, something will happen. It will just come in. I mean, we went to the Montage. Okay. We were at Blackberry Mountain, which is unbelievably gorgeous. I highly recommend. You guys are going to one day take yourself there. You're going to spend that kind of money. It's $5,600 a night. It should be more. It should be more. That's how good it is to spend that kind of money on that place. And then coming home, we stopped in Palmetto Bluff at the Montage, and it's like $3,000 a night. You know how wired I am for abundance. You know what happened? As I'm walking in to check in to this villa, I tripped over, like, there was a missing brick. And I tripped, and I'm fine. Like, there's no Band-Aids, nothing. Like, I just tripped and I fell, right? But I'm okay. The woman who's at the door greets, she goes, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I go, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she goes, "I'm so embarrassed. There was a missing brick and there used to be a little cone over there and now there's not. And do you need a medic?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine. I'm totally fine." And she's like, "Let me have the director of operations come visit you at your villa." This is a true story. So, I mean, I can literally show you this. You're going to like, okay. So she goes, "He's going to come visit you at the villa." You guys, you'll see there's a point to this story. It's a good one. So I want to show you this. Why? Oh, here we go. Okay. This is they send you a folio when you're going to leave. Okay. Can you guys see this? It was supposed to be $9,000. I don't think you can see it for 2 nights. Can you see that? It was $0. Okay. It was supposed to be $9,265 to stay there on the way home for 2 nights. The director of operation calls me the next morning. He's like, "Miss Heller, are you okay?" I go, "I'm totally fine." He goes, "I just want you to know we have a whole team. They're going to wrap that little area." I go, "I'm fine. I must have said it." I go, "I'm not a litigious person. Like, I'm totally fine." He's like, we're coming by the villa." They come by the villa. They give us like the bike rentals. We're going to go on the boat. Like, everything's paid for. Everything's covered. I'm like, "Okay, great. I love it. Awesome." And then he says to me, "Do you want to come back and we'll make it a better experience?" I go, "Yeah, I do want to come back." "What are you thinking?" He's like, "How about 3 nights? You can bring your girlfriends. We'll give you the best house we have on that river over there." I go, "Great. When are we going to do that?" He goes, "Anytime you want." I'm like, "Okay, great." You guys, you have to hear me. I'm telling you the things. I'm telling you things. You have to listen. It's going to come in any way it can come when you're there for it. I don't know what I can do to get you to understand it. But if you think about it, you've already done this up to this point. How do you think you got that job? It's the same thing. Other people interviewed. There's other people in the world they could have switched you out for. It's you. You have to get this. We are literally co-creating based upon whatever we're putting out in the world. And so this stuff happens. Oh, not to mention, I didn't even say this part. When we drove up to Blackberry Mountain, which is last Sunday, there was snow in Tennessee. Did I tell you this, Colleen? I told you this, right? So they were like, "Oh, there's going to be a power outage, but we're going to do our best for you." My husband and I are like, "Let's go. Let's do it. We'll be romantic. We'll have lanterns in the cabin, whatever." We get there. There's a power outage up on the mountain, but at the farm, they had a villa that doesn't, and they go, "Oh my God, we're taking you to the farm and we're so sorry that your mountain home has no power, but we're comping you the first 2 nights." So I didn't even mention that part. We got comped for the first 2 nights. We had the best time. Like, it was like nothing. I'm just telling you. It's the same thing with getting to fly first class, right? With Michael Jordan that day. I don't know what's happening. My whole life, my greatest tool is having fun, using my imagination, getting in there, getting messy, getting scrappy. And people look at me and they're like, "There's no way that that's it." I'm like, that's all it is. That's all that's happening all the time, but it's happening all the time. And it's happening so often that I've memorized it and I just keep doing it. I can't stop doing it. So then that's all that's going to happen. And I don't know how to say this differently because I don't like the word manifest. I've never watched The Secret. I don't know anything about it. And so I try to stay away from that world because I don't know what they're talking about, but I know what I'm living. Okay. I know what I'm living. And I know that you can honestly allow your abundance comes from God, not from other people. It's going to come if it's going to come. It's just the way that it is. You start calibrating to light and to love, whatever you want to call that source of all things, it'll just be a match. That's all I'm going to say. That's how it works. Who's kind of getting what I'm saying? Type a 1 in the chat if you're kind of getting it. And if you're not liking it, it might just be like, "Oh, it's hurting your eyes." But I'm just telling you, I live this over and over and over and over and over again. I just keep living it and I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You got this. Michelle, you've got this. Those people at that job, you've convinced yourself that they are the creator of the world, that they are your source. You're going to do this for a while. Right now, that's the investor that's helping you till you get the courage to say, "There's a bigger source here for me." Okay. But something.
I want it to be my birthday present.
When's that?
June 30th.
Good.
So I'm like really trying to push to be like, I got certified this day with you, and I'm going to hand in my resignation with you on the same day for my birthday.
Well, if you choose to do it sooner, you can, but that sounds like plenty more months of sitting in your resistance. I think that'll be plenty of time.
I hope so. I could do this.
Who's getting it? Who's enjoying it? Yes. That's bizarre. I know, it's the best. It's like a video game.
I just wish I could talk to you all the time.
Okay.
I just need Cathy in my pocket. I need you in my pocket.
Okay. I want to make little doll Polly Pocket.
Little Cathy pocket doll.
This is the best.
Thank you so much.